sixth year PhD student at MIT. So just starting my sixth year. So I did my bachelor's from IIT Gandhinagar in 2014. Then I was working in DRDO as a scientist for 2 years back in India. And I started my PhD in 2016 in Mechanical Engineering Department at MIT. I basically work on computational modeling of granular materials and trying to develop like reduced order models for locomotion in sand. Then your question was like, how do we go about like getting into these universities and all? So one of the thing that I learned from when I was applying to these positions, and also like from the experience of my friends, the overall idea is when we apply for these good universities for research positions, two things stand out of everything else. One is the recommendation, and second is some sort of like a X factor in your profile. So if you have like a very good recommendation, it kind of it's a safe bet to play. If there are like 10 different students and one is getting a recommendation from a really renowned person, they know that renowned person will not give a kind of a fake recommendation. So recommendation is a very important part. So if someone wants to get into like a good university or something, try to get do an internship or work with someone during your undergrad who is a renowned person in the field you are interested in. So that's one thing. Most of the people in my lab and all, I can see them like they had like a really strong recommendation when they were coming here. It's not because like it's also a luck thing that you got to work with someone very renowned, but at the same time, like those things are there. Second is like sort of an X factor. For example, in my case, I feel being a scientist in a national lab in India could have helped me. I don't know how important role that played, but that could be something which stands out in my profile. So that's one. Second, it's also about the personality of the institute. So if you're applying to Stanford, they will prefer someone who is more like, which has some sort of like entrepreneurial touch to his profile. On the other hand, if you are going to Brown or let's say MIT, they'll prefer someone who is like more like academic in nature. At MIT, I can say like it's academic plus sort of business. It's more like a mixture. But places like who are more academic nature, you want to show the academic aspect of your profile more. The last thing is many times people wonder like, are research papers important? From my experience, they are not really important. Having them is really good. If you have like 10 papers during your undergrad, of course, people will be interested. But at the same time, it's not like you have to have papers to get into these institutes. So it's just that you're coming here to learn something. You're coming here to learn research. They don't expect you to already be a researcher and have like 10 papers. So those are, I think, the major points. And second, last thing is like SOP. Make sure you write a good SOP. Make sure everything that you write is like something which cannot come out of anyone else. So it has to be more more original work. It has to really express yourself. So give it some time, like maybe 2-3 months or so, to just write a good SOP, and then run it through many people, and that should be fine.
How about score?
So I feel that also depends on the university. At MIT, it doesn't matter. Like if you have like a GRE score of above 316, 320, that's good enough. At the same time, if you go to Stanford, I have heard, I cannot like claim it, but usually the higher GRE scores are preferred. Similarly for TOEFL. In MIT, you don't even need TOEFL if you are coming from India.
You don't need
in MIT department.
Oh, so, you don't. They don't need that.
They don't ask for it, because the overall idea of TOEFL score is you are able to read and understand and speak English. So they don't give much value to it. At the same time, some institutes do. But I'm telling this from my experience of like from my applications 5 years ago. So they might have changed policies, but in my case, it was not required.
Okay. And how would you go after, like when you were at DRDO or you were at Gandhinagar, what point you thought like, okay, I want to go for higher studies, and how did you approach that? Like what time you give your GRE, and then did you spoke to a professor, or you just applied randomly to universities and wait for them to respond, like the initial massage, if I call it.
Yeah, so in terms of initial massage thing, yes, it is important because you want to, if you're putting, let's say, 3 professors in your SOP, that these are the people I'm interested in, you want to make sure that those people are actually open to taking students. So having that information that a professor might be interested is very important. So so it's very important to like contact people. I also did that, so I contacted a few professors. Some of them replied. There's a large possibility that out of like 100, 5 will reply, because professors are busy. Like even my professor says, like, I get so many emails, I rarely reply. So don't be disheartened by that, but in case you get some it's always a good idea to contact professors. The other thing is, like, because you're sending emails to these professors, you yourself will push yourself to like really do some background work on it. Otherwise you'll be like, okay, these are big professors, let's just apply. But if you're emailing someone, you'll give efforts in trying to understand about the professors, which is a good thing to do before PhD. So that's one. Second question was like, how did I approach my thought of like, I want to go for higher studies and all. So in my case, like, when I finished my bachelor's, I was not interested in academics as such or PhD as such. I just wanted to like do some product development, research and all. So I was working in DRDO, and during my time at DRDO, I realized like during my undergrad, so it's undergrad studies are more like knowing everything, sorry, knowing little about everything, whereas PhD is more about specific. So I wanted to know more about whatever I was doing. Like, let's say I'm doing some modeling for some kind of structures and all. I wanted to understand more.
You want to take a deep
Take
dive
a
on
deep
that.
dive into things. So I was like, let's go for it. So I applied, got a good opportunity, came here. It was not like I really wanted to go into like this particular thing or something. And also I went by opportunities. So I applied in different places, all related to solid mechanics. And this particular opportunity I found interesting. So it was not like I really wanted to work on granular material as such, but it was more about solid mechanics, and that's why.
Okay. And let me ask you one more question here. And because my perspective and it is a little bit different probably. Do you choose a university based on its ranking, or choose what you're interested in? Because that's tough thing too also, right?
So
I
I
always
think,
went through what I'm interested in rather than choosing a university.
yes. So I think the concept is, if you're going for a master, then it's better to go with the university, because you will be mostly focused on courses, and you hope to utilize your contacts and all. You won't be doing research. But if you're going for PhD, then definitely go for the professor.
What you're interested in and
Yes,
professor.
exactly. Yeah.
Because university has less money, you spend more time in labs and with professors.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
If you don't like that, then there is no use probably.
Yes, and that's the reason it's not just about the interest, it's also about the group. So talk, if possible, try to talk to the group, what kind of culture they have, like, are they open or
And just last question: how has been you have said you have been here for 5-6 years, right? Roughly.
Yes, I started in
Right.
2016. So
How has been your experience in at MIT and in the department?
so my experience has been pretty good. My professor is like a pretty nice person. Uh, I can just contact him whenever. So in that sense, it's been pretty good. It's not limited by like people from the same country or such. I am the only one Indian in the group, because we are a very small group.
Right.
But that has not been any. That has not played any role in like in negative way or anything.
Right. But does at MIT, I heard like there are people who come there for a PhD program, but they come with some sort of a joint program, like they do some courses at Sloan and things like that also.
Yes. So
is that depend on professor, or is it
so that's definitely on the course. So there are multiple things here. So we come as master's student, but there are courses which are in association with other departments sometimes.
No,
So
the reason I'm saying is because that has always been a hurdle with my advisor, because he said I don't want to pay for the tuition because this doesn't make sense, the course you're taking. So that's the reason I'm asking you, like, why a professor wants you to do a management degree.
I mean, so there are two things here. One is doing courses at Sloan, and second is doing a degree at Sloan. So courses at Sloan are like open. So currently, like at MIT School of Engineering, I can do courses at Harvard, I can do courses at Sloan. So for that, like it's just about convincing the professor that I want to learn this thing and these courses are there. So that is one. Second is getting a degree, which is like LEGO kind of program, which is leadership program in association.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that one is definitely like a tough thing to like convince a professor. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
he's saying
yeah,
that.
okay.
But for
But
that, you can also get,
even with courses, I would say your professor has to be on board because you will be
yes,
spending
definitely.
time, on that. Okay.
Yes,
So it
definitely.
really depend on professor, right? I'm pretty
Yes.
sure there are some professors who might say no to that, and there are some who are like, okay, you're doing good research. Why don't you do whatever you want?
Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly.
Okay.
And then it's on you. How do you convince him? So
Yeah. So okay, it's the same thing then. I thought because that might be something different. There because I see some students say I got into PhD program and I'm gonna do this another degree at Sloan. I'm like, cool. I didn't do that, but this sounds pretty cool. Okay. And usually where you see like students who graduate from there, especially PhDs, are they mostly they go to academics or there are a fair number which go to industry too?
I feel it's a fair number of students who go to industry. Academics is like more like people who are like really into it. Uh,
Hmm.
and but I also see like people are pretty open here. Like it's not like they decide in their last year, okay, this is what I want to do and go for it, which is not always the best thing to do. It's good to plan beforehand, but people have like a mixture of things. So I
Right,
won't say they're like always going to academics or something.
right, right.
Mhm. I mean, MIT has an advantage that it's in Cambridge, so a lot of people go into starting businesses and all. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not as high as Stanford, but yeah, it's a good one.
yeah. I think East Coast Silicon Hub is over in Massachusetts. So
Yes.
yeah, the Cambridge. I mean, okay,
Mhm, mhm.
cool, man. Nice talking to you, Shashank. And
Yeah,
as I said, let me know if whatever you need information, I would be, able what I can help you with.
sure,
Keep in touch. You
definitely. Yeah,
you never know what when it strikes. And as you said, my only advice for you is, I mean, as bright as you are, I would say whatever you are planning to go move ahead, whatever you are thinking, I would definitely tell you that the first job that you land up, that has definitely a lot that gonna shape where you will go.
yes.
You know,
Mhm,
so choose it wisely. I'm pretty sure you will have a lot of choices. Even I would say, if you want to take a deep break or deep breath and decide to do a postdoc, is not a bad thing. If you
mhm,
decide
mhm,
if you decide to do a postdoc, I would say going to national lab is the better one, for many reasons. And also national labs gives you an opportunity to um, apply for green cards and things like that much easier. But that's what I did actually when I was in Oak
mhm,
Ridge.
mhm, mhm.
That really helped. So yeah. But other than that, I think it's all cool. Thanks very much. But as I
I
said,
have
if you yeah, go ahead.
yes, I have one question. So you said like making the first decision of like where to go kind of thing. So I've been thinking about it. Like I've been interviewing with like few companies and all, and people told me when I was like in my second, third year that the first job is of course important, and there are do's and don'ts for your first job. It's always a good idea to not go for like a management job right after your PhD, because that's the time you usually learn a lot of things. So that I understand, like yeah, it's such a good idea to get into a technical job. You can always switch to management. Now, when you go into technical jobs, there are two ways. One is you do something really different than what you already were doing in your PhD, and second is something relevant to related to that. So, in terms of opportunities for your future, do you think going into a new field is better, or like uh, continuing on what you are doing is like better, or it depends on the field itself?
Yeah. So my answer to that is very straightforward actually.
Mhm,
I have seen people who have spent their master's, bachelor, PhD whole life in metallurgy, and that's what
mhm,
they like to do.
mhm.
I'm not that person, definitely.
Okay.
I get bored anything if I'm not learning from that particular job or role, or in for other reason, if I don't like it. Put it
Mhm,
this way.
mhm.
I had to move out.
Okay.
And what I've found actually, there was a time when people used to ask me, "Hey, you have done," and this has happened to me when I was applying for my PhD. Hey, your bachelor's is in mining. your master's is in civil, and then your PhD is in mechanical. Can't you stay at one place? Why you keep moving? That's like a Indian thing. Like you have to be
Yeah.
focused. And I'm like the most deep focused person in my life in that sense. But now I see that as my strength.
Mhm.
That is the only differentiator between many people they interview and me, and that
Yeah.
suddenly becomes your strength, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
now I see where I am. And the only mining engineer they can find is me.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's very hard to find a mining engineer who has a knowledge of materials too and does know about fuel cells too, right?
Yeah.
So again, as I said, that becomes your value. I would, and then if you look at technology also, like working on fuel cells, then I work on digital transformation at ANSYS, and then I move to doing my um, startup work. I would say there are two things my advice is, one is before 40,
Mhm.
learn as much as you can, because after that you won't get time to learn,
Mhm. Mhm.
and nobody will pay you to learn.
Yes.
And the
Mhm.
reason I say so is because right now you are getting paid to learn, right? So
Yes.
learn as
Mhm.
much as you can, as like I'm talking about the breadth, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Depth is important, but breadth also. Like for example, if I have to ask you, do you know about how the electrochemistry of a solid oxide fuel cell works? This is an example, and you say no. I said, know it then. Who knows you
Mhm.
like it, and you
Yeah.
know. So my point here is cover the breadth.
Mhm.
Trust me, engineering is very less about deep diving.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, uh, unless until you really want to get a Nobel Prize, which I doubt,
Mhm.
you all you need is have a knowledge, and
Mhm.
then based on that knowledge, you know who is the expert,
Mhm.
and then you can talk to that expert and make a decision. This is what leadership and engineering is all about, and that's what a, a CEO does. To be honest
Mhm.
with you, he
Mhm.
knows where to go, where to find the solution, and give the person that task. That is the judgment. And that's where you make the money.
Mhm.
Money
Mhm.
doesn't come for a person who spends time. I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't come
Yes.
to a person who
Mhm.
spends time in the lab. It comes to a person who has more accountability. That's why
Mhm.
lawyer makes more money, doctors more money. Accountability.
Mhm. Mhm.
Accountability is where the money. So that's where, again, it depends on you what you. But that's what I have seen, and I preach, and I follow it too. One thing that's what I said, that expand your horizon. So
Mhm.
let's say, for example, you get a job where you are doing the same thing which you're doing in your PhD. Why the hell you want to do that?
Mhm.
My For me myself, I want to go to a job where it's, if it is 60/40 is best, at least 70/30. That means 70% you give, 30% you learn.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you will find what happens. And the reason I say so is because you join a job and there's no learning. It's
Mhm.
like 95/5, right?
Mhm.
You're done. What I mean, what are you going to contribute? What are you going to learn? And as I said, after 40, nobody pays you to learn, because what happens, you're in mid-career, then they want you to perform day one.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
don't want you to say, okay, here is a training, and this will
Yeah.
happen. It doesn't
Mhm.
happen that way. So
Mhm.
as I said, I would say even not before 40, even say before 35. And
Mhm.
learn as much as you can, know as much as you can, because then you know where you want to settle. uh,
Yeah.
how do you know you are not a good marketing person? How do you know? Because you
Mhm.
have not never done it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
trust me, I was the person who hated statistics, because I thought mechanics is the cool thing in the world. I
Mhm.
was the person who hated marketing, because I thought, damn, sales is the worst thing. But the
Mhm.
day I started using statistics, when I was in
Mhm.
LG, I took a course on Six Sigma. They introduced it to that, because this LG and this Samsung, they are huge in this Six Sigma shit. I
Mhm.
loved it. I said, my goodness, without that you can't make decision. Then
Mhm.
I worked with ANSYS. Unfortunately, I was put in a sales role. Then I
Mhm.
realized I have such a huge respect for salespeople. I said, who cares about what you do in the lab? If you can't sell it, what's the point? So
Mhm.
again, my
Yes.
point here is unless and until you know things, it doesn't mean I your personality would allow you to do that, but at
Mhm.
least see it.
Yes.
What do you explore it, right? So
Mhm.
at your stage, I would say, once you get out from there,
Mhm.
explore. That's why I don't like talking to academics that much now. because they like this needle and then they spin around so much, and that's their job. I understand, but that's how usually you won't flourish in industry if you are that person. And the world is changing so fast. I mean, look at tell me one project which say, okay, I'm gonna give you $10 million to make this new material. Nobody give a shit. They wanna say, what's the value you are bringing in? The world is all about cost cutting. The world is all about nobody give a shit. I mean, Elon Musk is putting stainless steel in Mars. I mean, who can you imagine? I mean, then somebody is doing a high entropy like, nahi chahiye bhaiya, we want to do stainless steel se kaam chal jayega. I mean, this is what it is, right? So, and to be honest with you, Elon Musk is the best example of something which how you can rebuild and remake and do amazing things, right? And this is and all those companies, traditional companies who has been vested in like, okay, we will do this core research. Everyone has moved. I mean, you name me any company, name it any company, right? So all the research has been to academics and national labs, if they have. Otherwise, you will see all the cool engineering work is being done by companies. And the number one thing for any company is cost. I mean, I will tell you one thing. You open any company's web page now, what new thing is coming? They will talk about digital transformation. That's one thing. I would say jump in it. That's the new .com. I mean, especially with COVID, this has been put in nitro now. You know, trust me, and every company, no matter what, is heavily investing on digital transformation. How? And this is all about cost cutting. They are seeing 10 years down the road, their customers are demanding them to that jo pencil tum bana rahe ho, ye, we're not going to buy it for 1 rupee now, we're going to buy it for 25 cents. So where are you going to cut cost? And what type of tools you're going to use to do that, right? So this, as I said, this engineering is not about research. Engineering is all about innovation, what you have, right? And if you are that person, welcome. If you are not, I mean, then academic and apply for NSF grants and do the research. And I mean, as I said, and to be honest with you, trust me, those professors also who are cool professors are the one who value the knowledge of the product. I mean, I can tell you the names. There is a professor in Northwestern. His name is, he does this flexible electronics and stuff. Look at his group. God, what's his name? He must have like 30 postdocs, if I'm not kidding you. And this guy is a god. I mean, I have listened to his lectures. I mean, you will blown away. I mean, there is not an iota of time where I'm like taking nap, and I'm the guy who takes nap if somebody starts to talk, because it go tangent from my brain. But this guy is like, I mean, I remember going to a Gordon Thin Film conference. I forgot his name. I mean, one of the best person I've seen. I mean, and this guy is from MIT, and then he did research at IBM, and then he's became a professor. But dude, I mean, I think the work he does is just phenomenal. You know, because you'll see most of the professors, they start doing research, concept something, and then TRL2, and then dead. This guy takes all the way to 7, 8. I mean, amazing. I mean, you know, as I said, this is that's where the value for professors is too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But as I said, you know, there are many people who does basic science research and they enjoy it, and they make they win Gangnam Fellowship, and they do a lot of crazy things. More power to them. If you are that person, then you know, define yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I get it.
Okay. Okay, Shashank, I have a meeting actually, but it was amazing. Nice talking to you.
Same here.
You know, yeah. But as I said, keep in touch, and we will. I will send you some details. Send me your abstract and CV.
Sure. I'll do that. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.